And we're in. Hello, everyone. How are we doing? It's me. It's Samp today, and you are in for another episode of Lights, Camera, Yaption, the podcast where I talk about media, entertainment, whatever else I want to yap about, and hopefully this time it's gonna be in focus. Oh, guys, last week's podcast, other than being delightful, of course, as always, the universe was not wanting it released. The world did not want that podcast out. I literally was editing it on the train and saw that the entire middle section was out of focus. Great. Hoping I fixed that now. If not, you know what? I'm not even going to say. I'm not even going to put up a little bit of text that says, unfortunately, this is out of focus, because I've had it with this camera with Constance. So if you have complaints, you can email lightscamerayaption@gmail.com and say, Sam, your camera needs to be put down. And I will go, I know. We'll move to the webcam one day. We'll move to something else. But yeah, I just wanted to focus on Newton the entire time. So I'm hoping now that is not the case. I'm hoping that we figured that out here. But today's episode is going to be very exciting. For the main course, for the camera section today, we're going to be talking about American Horror Story. And I'm going to finally give my ranking of all 12 seasons so far. The new season, season 13, is coming out, and I thought this was a perfect opportunity to finally rant about truly like my personality from the ages of 15 to 20, I would say. It was all consuming, the Ryan Murphyism. As much as I liked Glee, I really thought that American Horror Story and liking American Horror Story made me different and made me edgier. And it was like the Tumblr core era that I remember the most of. That's what I think of when I think of Tumblr. I think of American Horror Story. So I'm excited to talk about that, and we'll give a deep dive into all things American Horror Story, the good, the bad, the delicate. Excited for that. But yes, first we're going to catch up. How are we? How are we doing this week? To say, other than, oh my gosh, I didn't even get onto the rest of the story about why last week's podcast was such a nightmare. So other than it being completely out of focus, my Premiere Pro is also crashing. My computer is also on its last legs. Everything's falling apart. I got my computer built in lockdown by someone else, because anytime I looked into how do I build a PC, it's actually like so easy. You can just build it yourself. So what kind of computer do you want? And I'm like, well, I want one for gaming and video editing. And they go, and what kind of like gabagool would you like with that? And I'm like, oh, I don't know what was best for that. It's like, well, if you want more P, then you could go for this line down here, and you need like an SD 560. But if you've considered everything with a little bit more yellow light, then perhaps you should get a GM432. And I'm like, okay, and what does the yellow light do? Well, the yellow light is particularly good at shifting your diaphragm upwards, and that's quite handy as well if you want to install a CD-ROM. And I'm like, help me. I'm not a dumb person, but I truly try. I tried so hard. And also it was like, if you try and install it on a carpet, by the way, it could just explode. Okay, cool, great. So, my computer is having a little bit of issues. She's chugging away, but I think she needs more storage because I've really filled her full of stuff, particularly with the Roblox video that I'm making. I finished all of the footage gathering, so now I need to piece it all together, but that's going to take a wee while, and all of the footage now exists on my hard drive, which is, as I say, that she is very full. And so I tried to edit on that hard drive, and Premiere Pro was going, what the hell are you doing here? Also, I've installed Premiere Pro 2026, but I need Windows 11 for that, but my computer can't support Windows 11. What the heck? Is it the Roman ages? Why can't I just edit a dang video? So I tried to uninstall Premiere Pro 2026, but that's not allowed. So basically everything kept crashing, kept corrupting. There wasn't enough room to export the video. And then I tried to post like Instagram stories about it, and I wasn't allowed to post them. Because in them, to be fair, I did say I will kill God. And I understand why like Instagram might not want to promote that. But at the same time, it's like, let a boy vent. His podcast, the White Boys podcast, is not going as planned this week. So let him threaten to overthrow the Almighty, you know. But we got there in the end, and I'm thankful for the support of all my nearest and dearest who stopped me from throwing my head down the toilet because I was trying to get Lana Del Rey in Phantom of the Opera thoughts shared. But we made it in the end. But other than that, it was a pretty good week. Once again, guys, our manifestation power is just through the roof. As I said last week, I was happy with a near enough and an Art Simone victory. Again, and both of those came true. 2 for 2. Now, technically, near enough, the challenge that they did in Canada's Drag Race was that they had 4 chances to get on to the final. And if you won the first challenge, then you didn't have to do the next 3. If you did won the second one, you'd have to do the last 2, etc., etc. And the last one was a lip sync for your life. And so one could argue that near enough technically was in the bottom 2, and won the lip sync. So it's not a win. However, Brooklyn specifically said, you have all won this week's challenge, and they get all to go on vacation to like Puerto Vallarta, I think. So that is a near enough win. And yes, there's a little asterisk beside it, but I don't care. I think it counts. We are moving on to the final. So when this comes out, there will be a victor of Canada's Drag Race. And so I am fully still team near enough, of course. But I do think, based on the events of the season and how things have turned out, this is probably going to be Aurora Matrix's season to win. I'm hoping for a top 2 between them. It makes sense, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? From an arc perspective, they've kind of been the most powerful players, and Nira has definitely been the most cunning and the most strategic player, whereas Aurora has definitely been the one that has succeeded the most. She has 3 wins out of 6 episodes. It's pretty good. Were some major frontrunners eliminated very early on as part of the strategy? Yes, but surviving that is still also a great coup. So I do think Aurora is going to win. However, I would like to manifest Nira one, and I think Nira is a great nerve. For those who don't know Drag Race, it's judged on charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. You need to have all 4 to be a winner. Although Canada loves to crown a charismaless queen. Oops, who said that? Not me. Oh, that was so mean. That was so mean. There's only one person. I'm not gonna say who it was. Anyway, but Nira, I just think is so nerve heavy. Like, she is the nerve girl. So I'm hoping for a victory from her. And then Art Simone and Down Under vs. World won again. Lip sync, the challenge and the lip sync as well. So really, really fantastic stuff there. And it was Snatch Game. And Snatch Game has been something that everyone, boring people, have been calling for the ending of in Drag Race. Snatch Game is what is a parody of Match Game, or in the UK, Blanksy Blank. And what they do is the drag queens, the contestants, all have to impersonate a celebrity and answer questions in the style of a celebrity in the game show Blankety Blank Match Game. But the purpose is not to get the answers right or to win it game show style. It is to do a comedic celebrity impression on that game show as the kind of format. And it's been there since US season 2. And it started off, there was a lot more celebrity impersonation in drag scenes. And so you had people who were like, I literally do Cher for a living. I literally do Adele. I do Britney. I do these. So that is my bread and butter. And so it was a good chance to show off that talent. And also, I think it is very much like a drag staple, or at least was a drag staple. But as drag is becoming more of a mainstream art and it's more about individual branding, a lot of contestants don't actually do celebrity impersonation day to day anymore. And so it's become a little bit of a hodgepodge, shall we say. Just very rarely do you get a clean, funny impersonation of a celebrity. Everyone's kind of doing twists on twists now, or playing fictional characters, or playing comedian's character, which is copywritten, so they don't say they're playing that character, they say they're playing the comedian and then act still the character. And I just feel as though it's a little bit of a shame, and I think one reason I love Snatch Game still existing is because it kind of encourages drag queens to still respect the art of celebrity impersonation and be able to work within that field. It's the trickiest challenge on any reality TV show because it's drag, celebrity improv comedy. Like, it's nuts. It's nuts. So I understand that it's very difficult, and that's also why a lot of people don't do well in it. But Art Simone on Kick-Ons was discussing how she just like practiced her character. Art Simone originally was eliminated in Snatch Game on her season, and she came back and won this one. It's a character. It's Jane Turner, I think she did, which is Kath and Kim, and she just did the character of Kath Day Night. But she's been touring for years as that character. She has been workshopping that character for so long. She knows it inside and out, and she didn't use any of the characters like copyrights and catchphrases or like any of the just like lifted jokes from the show. What she did was she embodied the character and answered how she thought the character would answer in that moment. And it was just so good. It was really good. And that's what we need more of. And it is still possible. And what we see happen a lot now is queens coming in and going, "Oh, I'm going to do this person because we don't know what they sounded like, so I can do anything and get away with it." Which to me should always be a safe. You should always be safe if it's good. I think you should never be more than safe because I do think it's a little bit of a cheat. We've had things like Cupid, which was awful. Bloody Mary last season, which was diabolical. Jill Sparkle did Bigfoot, which was very good. But again, it's not celebrity impersonation, and I would really like the art of celebrity impersonation to be respected more. And this Down Under Snatch Game, I actually thought was really fun. I thought it was really good. People are being weird. I'm kind of like, oh, this person was very funny. But actually, for the first time in a long time, I LOL'd. I lolled, I lamowed at some of the jokes being made. There was a Barry White impersonation, which was very good. Floor did did Mr. Bean, and it wasn't very good, but there was a lot of humor in like bombing as Mr. Bean. So that was a delightful time. What else was there? Michael Maruli did what's his name? Frankenfurter. Did Tim Curry as Frankenfurter. Again, these are all kind of fictional characters, but the fact that Frankenfurter had not been done before was wild to me. And Michael Maruli wasn't the funniest, but oh my god, did she have the impersonation down? All her answers she wrote like with extra Y's and was saying like, "We went around the roundabout," and like it was just a very fun nuance of that character that she really played up. So that was good. And then Vibe was also a winner, but didn't win the lip sync. And she did Bette Midler, and I didn't think it was the most clear Bette Midler, mainly because she kept her Australian accent, which was bizarre. But I thought it was charming. And last week I also said I'd be happy with a Vibe win, and technically Vibe did also win this week too. So all our manifestation powers, guys. This is the manifestation podcast. So final test here to see how strong our manifestation goes. We are manifesting a near enough victory for Canada's All Stars. And for Down Under versus the World, I think if Art gets another win, she's going to be in danger. So let's hand it off to let's give Miss Jade So, a win next week. That is the manifestation there. And our Big Brother manifestation also worked. Last week I said it was boring to steamroll. They flipped. They have finally flipped. Thank God. They realized that Haley, Haley and Chuck and Camus suck, and so they blindsided them and voted out not an ally to them, but more of an ally to them. And we had one of the greatest head of household moments ever. One of the most iconic Big Brother competitions is the wall, and it's just an endurance test where you stand on this wall, they spray you with gunk, and you have to last as long as you can. And Latrice, who is 58, I believe, won the wall. She outlasted an MMA fighter, like these varsity jocks, like these proper athletic men and women, to be fair, because it is, I think, actually the new wall. It favors like smaller bodies, I think, because it's more upper arm strength, something like that. And Anyway, she outlasted them all and she won Head of Household, which is iconic and goes to show like you can do anything you put your mind to, baby. And she is like a body builder. She has trained for this. And so, yeah, really awesome moment. And now the house is kind of in flux and anyone feels like they could work together and pair up. And we're seeing alliances being formed. And it's much more dynamic and much more interesting than the tool shed nonsense going on. So for that, I think I've now picked my peg. Peg? Whoa! Let's not say that. I'm now gonna peg Melody as my winner's pick. I think she's very funny. I think she's very strategically good. We need to see about comp wins here, but she understands the way the house is going. She's very underrated, and she's kind of in a showmance with Drew. And usually I don't kind of care about the showmance couples, but I find them very charming together. And so Melodrew, Drewlady, whatever it's called, I'm rooting for you kids. I think that'll be fun. So I'm rooting for a Maldi victory, but now that Haley and Chuck, oh my gosh, guys. So Haley, she was head of household last week, had all the power, and literally all she could say was like, I've just had the worst weeks. Like I just had the worst 5 weeks. It was the biggest. It's like her meme at the moment where she can't stop saying, "I've just had the worst 5 weeks," and it's like, girl, what's been all? She's been in power basically the whole time. Never been on the block. Her friends have never been up for eviction. She's kept everyone she's close to, and she's like, and you're like being so mean because I just had the worst week. And so we're branding it Haley's no good, terrible, very awful, really bad 5 weeks. And it looks like she might be evicted on Thursday. And you know what? I kind of want Chuck to go instead because they both need to go, but Haley is quite unintentionally funny, so we'll take that. Oh my gosh, yeah, so long already. We're going over time. We need to get into American Horror Story chat. Is there anything else I need to update you guys on? Murder She Wrote will come back to another time. I'm actually quite slow on that because I won Minecraft. I defeated that dang Ender Dragon. So Minecraft She Wrote is officially finished. So I need to find another game to play whilst I solve mysteries. Maybe more Roblox. Roblox She Wrote. Murder She Robloxed. There we go. Writes itself. Anyway, we will get onto our main course, our camera section, and talk about American Horror Story. See you guys later. And we are back, and hopefully in focus. I swear to gosh. It looks like we're in focus. I'm going to sit. Oh my gosh. I'm going to sit right where the viewfinder I've set the focus to be on, which is here. So if I'm not in focus, fucking die. Great. Anyway, let's talk about American Horror Story. So guys, American Horror Story season 13 is in the works. They're releasing the episode titles, and it's looking like a huge mashup of all the previous seasons. For those who aren't familiar with American Horror Story, it is an anthology TV series where each season is a self-contained, I'm putting that in quotation marks because there are exceptions, is a self-contained horror TV show. And it's centralized around one place. So you'll have things like Hotel, and the whole season is set around a haunted hotel. You'll have Coven, and it's about witches. There's lots of different season themes. The first 3 seasons, as I say, they took over the world, I feel like. It is very, very well written. It's camp as hell and has some of the best one-liners ever. We recently, well, last Halloween, we kind of started a rewatch of Coven to show to my flatmate who's never seen it before. And literally every single line that comes out of Jessica Lange or Sarah Paulson's mouth is some of the like funniest writing I've ever heard in a TV show. And it's played very straight. So we need to celebrate that. It has very much lost its way, I think. It got a little bit noises. I think it just got a bit bloated and lost course of what was making it good. It had a lot of prestige actors in it. And it is mental when you look at the likes of Kathy Bates, Jessica Lange, Angela Bassett, all of these like massive names in film and TV working on like a campy horror show. And they had Lady Gaga was there for a little while. And so it really captured like this aspect where it was beautiful production design, it was scary, it was fun, but also it had so much heart and the characters were so delightful. As years kind of went by, because it is an anthology, it could kind of change things up and be whatever it wanted to be, you know? And originally we were told that there was an overall vision for the whole show, and we were seeing some overlaps of seasons. We saw a character from season 2 appear in season 4. We saw characters from season 3 appear in season 5, and it became clear that the odd number seasons and the even number seasons were overlapping. And that was very fun. And then it kind of didn't go anywhere. Well, it did, but it was a bit of a. We'll get to it. We'll get to it. And so I feel like it's definitely been on the decline. The last season came out 2 years ago, and now we're coming back for what I assume will be the final season, season 13, which makes sense. Hopefully, this will give a big boost of life into it, and maybe we can start again, because I still feel like there's a place for it. But yes, as with most Ryan Murphy projects, when Ryan Murphy and what's his name, Chuck something, yes, Brad Chuck and Brad. I don't know. When the Ryan Murphy focus is on the project, it creates some of the best TV there is. But when he's working on all the other things and we get kind of the next team in to write it, I feel like it loses the overall vision that only he could really create, unfortunately. But with that being said, we're going to rank them. We're going backwards. So there are 12 series, and we're going to discuss them all and have a camp old time talking about it. I don't know if we're going to do a Yaption section today, because this might go over, but we can maybe have a little drop in. I've got some stuff I want to talk about, but I have a lot to talk about there too. We'll see. We'll see. Stop wasting time. Let's jump into it. So, in 12th place, the worst season of American Horror Story is Delicate. It's the most recent one. Guys, I literally finished it today because I gave up on it when it first came out. I knew I wanted to do this, and I've been trying to watch it for a week, and oh god, it's so bad. So, Delicate is Delicate is about Emma Roberts' character, Anna, who is an actress who's just been in a very successful film, but she also wants to have a baby and she has fertility issues. She does end up getting pregnant, but things go a bit weird. It's described as a Rosemary's Baby type situation, but when they sorry guys, also massive spoilers for every season of American Horror Story here. Don't use this if you're trying to get into the mood of it, but it's described as a Rosemary's Baby situation, and that in itself is explained to you just the whole plot. Like, when they advertise it as that, it's like there is no point in watching this, because it is obvious from maybe 14 minutes in exactly what this story is. It's Rosemary's Baby, but stretched over 9 episodes of 40 minutes. You do the maths. Too long. So long. And when it first started, I kind of thought it was going to be some kind of camp send up of like B-list movies, because the acting is so bad. The writing is diabolical. It's literally like every scene starts and Emma Roberts is like, "Hello, my husband Dex." Dex like, "Hello, my second wife, because my first wife died." It's like that every single scene. Kim Kardashian, this was her first foray into the Murphyverse, and I've seen clips of All's Fair, and whilst that obviously has its issues, I think Kim Kardashian has come on leaps and bounds in terms of acting, and this is her first step, and it shows. She is so deadpan. Her character is awful, because, spoiler, the whole story is basically just these kind of like fertility witches that, in exchange for your deepest desire, you give them their firstborn child. Your firstborn child will be some kind of demon, basically. And why, how it comes about, not explained. But what we get instead is hours upon hours of Emma Roberts going, "What? I don't remember that. You were in that room and you died." "No, they didn't. You're going crazy." Unfortunately, stories about people being gaslit um, get very frustrating about 4 hours in when you recognize that they are being gaslit, because what else is there to it? It's like, yeah, we know you're being set up here, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. They also have this bizarre moment where they talk about Rosemary's Baby, the film, and they imply that Kim Kardashian was like a witch on set with Mia Farrow in that. Why? What? It's based on a book too. The whole thing's a disaster. And I think what doesn't help is that American Horror Story is an ensemble show. Usually, as I say, it's a central location and all of the characters that come and go from it. But this one, it's entirely Emma Roberts and Kim Kardashian, and I wish it was anyone else. I wish it was anyone else. So Delicate, you are getting the last place stamp, and I think that is not controversial. Just does not feel like American Horror Story in the slightest. So you are in 12th. In 11th place, we have American Horror Story double feature. So when they first announced the concept of double feature, I was so excited. I kind of fallen off the American Horror Story train at this point. Double feature was the 10th season, so it was kind of like an anniversary one in a way. And the idea we were being framed as it is um two seasons in one is what we were getting. And so I interpreted it as we were going to every second episode was going to alternate like story, and then at the end they were going to come together in some way that was very cool, kind of like how every odd and even season has been gently linked together. And I thought for the 10th season this might be how they tie it all up nicely. But no, it's just one 6 episode season and then a 4 episode season tacked on afterwards with no linking together. And I don't know why. I don't know why they felt like this needed to be the full season, especially because the first half, the first 6 episodes are Red Tide, which I'll get into a second, and it's actually a very strong concept by itself. And then the second half is oh gosh, it's called it's like Area 51. It's aliens, and it is weak. It is a bad 4 episodes, really, really awful. And at this point as well, they had started American Horror Stories, a completely different show, which was just like one off 40-minute episodes. Clearly, in my mind, it's like an idea for American Horror Story that wouldn't work beyond an episode. They write it together. They're not very good, I will say. So, there's one or two that I think slap, but I don't understand why they didn't just adapt these two stories to be um, American Horror Stories instead of bloat them out and make them this. But the first half, Red Tide, is great. I actually really, really like Red Tide. It is this kind of Stephen King-ish set in New England, I think. It's like a sea town, misty. It's very atmospheric and something they've not really a place they've not really explored in American Horror Story before as well, which was very fun. And it's this writer, his wife, and their daughter. And the writer's got writer's block and was trying to figure out what to do. And he gets given this pill that basically like inspires him and makes the best thing he's ever done come out. And his daughter takes it, and she's a violin player, and she all of a sudden starts becoming the best violinist ever. And basically, what it is this form of vampirism that hones the talent, the natural talent that you have to its fullest potential. However, if you take the pill or you become the vampire and you don't have the talent, you become this kind of like gray man creature. And the wife, who is played by Lily Rabe, she wants to be an interior designer, and she takes the pill because she wants to feel talented, but she doesn't have the natural talent. It is very mean, I will say, and she starts to like decay, and all her hair falls out, and she's done nothing but be so nice as well, from what I remember. And but it's like, you're not talented. Why did you do this? And it's like brutal exploration of like talent and ambition and stuff like that, and feelings of worth as well, because she feels so worthless and then she becomes this like wandering creature. And so it was very scary. It was scary and unpleasant, and I think a little bit too mean at times, but on the whole, I very much enjoyed. And then the second half is aliens and Mpreg. And maybe Eisenhower has a secret bunker to help the aliens create better alien species that will take over the world. I don't really need to give it more time than that. Unfortunately, that's all there is to it, and I don't like it. I don't. I don't like it. Doesn't go anywhere. I think it was fun that they were exploring like Area 51, but that's what they could do with Area 51. A full American Horror Story season around Area 51, they could have had a lot of fun with. But if they were always going to do the aliens are impregnating people, and maybe Eisenhower's there too, I'm glad it didn't go anywhere, shall we say. So, double feature, you actually had a lot of potential, but your final 4 episodes made me put you second last because it was diabolical. In 10th place, we have season 7, which is Cult. Now, this is probably a little bit unpopular. I'm sure there's a few other seasons that people would put below Cult. But for me, Cult kind of represents the tipping point of American Horror Story and where I lost faith that there was a vision for the whole show going forward. Because the concept of Cult is, I believe the season came out in 2017, maybe 2018, and it is literally a reactionary season to Trump winning the 2016 elections. And it is about this guy, Kai, I believe his name, Evan Peters, who, from Trump winning, basically creates this cult of people who feel emboldened to do horrible things. And it's very mean spirited. I think plays on a lot of general phobias and anxieties a lot of people in America were feeling at the time. And I think it's actually a very interesting American Horror Story theme because sometimes with American Horror Story, I feel like they are exploring, this is going to sound so stupid, but they are exploring literal horror stories of being in America. They discuss school shootings. Delicate, I thought, could have potentially gone into like the abortion conversation there as well. There's a really graphic scene of like a miscarriage that happens with that. We'll come to NYC in a moment, but it talks about the AIDS and the AIDS crisis, and frames it as like a slasher film. And I'm going the whole time I'm watching these things. I go, wait a minute, like this is a really, really interesting way to make the things that horrifies Americans into something like into a horror film, into a horror show. And Cult kind of does that the most out of all of the shows, but then it just kind of that just kind of becomes exhausting. It gets just so obvious of like the main character Sarah Paulson is this like lesbian liberal who is having a mental breakdown over it all, and she's like, I'm being called a nasty woman every day and I'm afraid of everything, and it's kind of like, yeah, we get it. Like it's just the ultimate we get it, you know. And I mean, if they did it now as well, honestly, I don't even think you'd be able to make it now because it's so graphic and nasty. But it was just like, okay, so there was no way you had planned for this season to be made because you were not no one was anticipating Trump to win 2016, especially 7 years ago when you first started this TV show. So I felt a little bit miffed when it was announced as a theme, and I think the characters all are very much cliches and stereotypes, and it's it's just a bit much. It's a bit much. There's a really horrible scene where there's like a gimp locked in the attic with like hooks through him. Can't really remember what that was about, but I remember being like, Jesus Christ, this is nuts. So it does have some iconic moments though. That's why it is higher up. And I do think it's an interesting concept. I think perhaps the more time goes on, the more I'll look back on it fondly, in some sense. But this is where I poisoned the wine and the pasta comes from. If you don't know that meme, look it up. But very silly, very camp. But yes, Cult, you are in 10th place, unfortunately. Next up, we have number 9. And I'm giving this to 1984. Again, a little bit controversial, maybe. Some people would have this higher, some people would have this lower. I feel like for me, 1984 is just a little bit unremarkable, should I say? And particularly watching it as it was airing, I found quite tiring because American Horror Story loves to do this thing, and it happens a lot in different seasons because usually there's ghosts or there's some kind of creature that's existed for years and years and years where we need to explore that character and that creature's past because it's an anthology and we're not going to do that in the future. And so a big event will happen, and then the very next episode, we'll go back in time to explore how that character came to be in the situation they were there. And it just kind of feels like with 1984, it's a slasher. It's set in a camp, and it's very, very fun. And I love the actual slasher elements of it, but um, it's set over one night. And so to beef it out to be a full season, you'll get 15 minutes of real time, like, this is what was happening on the night for one episode. And then the next episode will be a flashback explaining who that character is in that 15 minutes. And so, pacing wise, I find it quite frustrating to watch. And also, it kind of undoes a little bit of lore. Listen, you cannot get upset with the lore of American Horror Story. It's never made sense from the get go. We have to give up on that. However, they talk about Richard Ramirez, Night Stalker, I believe, as a character who is trapped on the summer camp there as a ghost, but we know that he is somewhere else because he appears in Hotel. So, the heck is going on there? And American Horror Story establishes that characters from other seasons do exist within the other seasons too. So it'll be like, oh yeah, that person's name will pop up in here and then. So the fact there are two different Richard Ramirez's in the same universe seems a little bit clumsy to me, especially when it didn't need to be him. I thought it was a bit weird that they decided to do that. Anyway, quite fun still though. Matthew Morrison plays a camp counselor with a huge peanut. Um, so if you have Matthew Morrison phobia, it might not be for you, but I think it's quite fun from what I remember. Just not too many remarkable characters is the issue, but nice stylistically. They play up all the aspects of like a summer camp slasher too. You have your Mr. Jingles, I think is the name of the killer in it. You've got lots of like twists and turns. Someone does get thrown into a wood chipper at some point. Very fabulous death. So it's quite camp, but yes, I remember I found the pacing frustrating. Not enough camp and glamour to it. I would say glamour. I'm using the word glamour very very loosely. When glamour, I just mean fun. I mean horror glamour. To it, it was just like a lot of running around. Oh my god, this person's been stabbed to death. Yeah, I know. And now they're a ghost. What the heck? Another issue in the American Horror Story verse is that everyone can come back as ghosts or be resurrected by witches, and so death often feels like not really an issue. And I think 1984 suffers from that a little bit too. But that's why you're in ninth place, 1984. But an okay, okay, just okay, just okay. We're in the just okay phase, I would say here. Below was the bad seasons. These are the just okay ones. In eighth, we have season 11, which is NYC. NYC. And now, I actually stopped halfway through this season when I first watched it, and that was where I was kind of like, I think I'm done with American Horror Story. But I picked it up again. I was thoroughly surprised, actually. It doesn't really feel like American Horror Story. It feels more like something you would see in American Crime Story, or like, I don't know. It's still scary for sure, but it is very much focused on the gay community in New York City during the AIDS crisis and phrasing that as a horror film. And this is what I was talking about earlier with how I feel like with Cult and with Delicate, they almost exist in a different TV show where it's hard to kind of have the ooky spooky ghosts are here, and then also AIDS is a literal serial killer destroying your friends and your community. It's like hard juxtaposition sometimes. And so it's a little bit of a rough turn, I will say. It's very tragic because it feels so much realer than all of the other seasons. Paints the gays awfully, by the way. There's another series. It's busy. It's very, very busy. There is a serial killer called the Mai Tai Killer, and he is a gay man killing other innocent gay men too to make a statement. And Also, some of the other gay men accidentally killed another gay man on Fire Island. It's like, gays on gays violence. And that's what they want us to do. That's what they think we do. But no, we love each other. But yes, I think with Ryan Murphy, I love Pose as well. And one of my issues with Pose, and this is going to sound really like privileged, but I couldn't watch the end of Pose because I knew what we were leading up to. And I was like, I love all these characters. I know how awful the AIDS crisis was. And like, I have educated myself. I've watched the documentaries. I'm not going to ever like forget. I'm very conscious of it. I'm very aware of it. And so I was like, I don't need to watch more people I like die of AIDS. It's how I feel sometimes. But yes, it's very privileged to think like that. And I feel like Ryan Murphy maybe was like, I think I want to explore the horror of AIDS a bit more. I really want to phrase it as a horror film. And this does that. And the last 10 minutes is just this montage of this serial killer that they thought was killing everyone, which turns out to just literally be AIDS personified, goes around and just like guns up this office of gay people. It's like he meets one person for 5 seconds and turns away, comes back, and AIDS has killed them. And it's harrowing. They have this montage of like these young men in a single file line falling into a grave, and it's so impactful. And I was like, Jesus Christ, but I did not feel like I was watching American Horror Story with it. And so the rest of the season is very bloated with a lot of stuff going on. Like Patti LuPone is there, being like a Bette Midler type, singing in the bathhouses. So it's all a little bit much. It's a lot, but I really appreciate it. I think it was really cool, and I would recommend. In a way, I would recommend. So do with that what you will. But I don't think it is American Horror Story at its best, is what I shall say. So that is why you are in 8th position. In 7th, we have Hotel Motel, Lady Gaga in. Hotel was the 5th season of American Horror Story, and the first one without Jessica Lange as the kind of star, I would say. As much as she wasn't like the main character in season 1, she was very much the star, if you get me. And that continued. Well, season 2 and season 3, she very much was the main character, and season 4. So it was the first time without Jessica Lange, and her presence is missed, is what I will say. Lady Gaga, I think, fills in the kind of position, and luckily there's not a character who I feel like, oh, well, that's who they would have had Jessica Lange play. But with Hotel, it's the first time I felt as though nothing mattered. I was talking about that with 1984, where the whole idea is when you die in the hotel, you can't leave. You come back as a ghost and you're tethered to it. And it's all the stories of the people who are tethered to the hotel. But the pacing of it again feels bizarre. And it's just kind of like the first 4 episodes we spend meeting everyone. And then the next like 6 or so episodes is just all of them dying and coming back as a ghost one by one and why they choose to die. And it kind of felt a little bit pointless. And I don't really know what we were building towards. With a lot more of the shows that you'll see higher up on this list, there is kind of an end goal and there is a plot line other than just exploring the surrounding. And I think that what the Hotel and what a lot of the seasons below me lack, other than Delicate, but Delicate was crap in its own way, is that there's just kind of there doesn't really feel like a purpose to be watching a lot of the people, especially when you're like, oh, they're just gonna die here. They do have this murder case where it's very Seven, where there's a main detective and he is trying to solve the murder of the Ten Commandments. Not murder. He's trying to solve the killings of the Ten Commandments killer. They need to figure out who the Ten Commandments killer is, and he's killing everyone in the style of the Ten Commandments. Blah blah blah. Seven. And it becomes very, very clear, huge spoiler alert, that the detective is the Ten Commandments killer. He gets invited to this like murderer dinner of the ghost of all the murderers, and the guy who owns the hotel is like, and you can only be here if you're a murderer. And he's like, because I like killed a guy once by mistake or something. And the guy's like, maybe. It's just a bit lame. It's just obvious. It's just quite obvious. And Lady Gaga puts in a very good shift as the Countess, but overall, it's just lots of fun characters. Kathy Bates is great in it. Um, but yeah, it's just kind of lacks a direction. The Ten Commandments killer, he's also missing his daughter, who's there's vampires in the hotel. It just all ties up too quickly, or it just ends, and then you're kind of left going like, well, what's going to happen now? And overall, I just feel with like Hotel, it needed some bigger plot line to carry us through, because as much as it's an ensemble show, there everything just felt so disconnected, and I kind of was missing something to connect to. So that's why I put Hotel at seventh. Last on my okay list is Apocalypse. So in sixth place we have American Horror Story Apocalypse. Apocalypse is a very I don't actually know. I might put Apocalypse lower than Hotel. No, Apocalypse sixth. So American Horror Story Apocalypse is the culmination of all of the intertwining storylines between the seasons. I believe it was season 8. So it brings together Murder House, Coven, Hotel, and then yes, that must be it. It brings together all of the odd numbered seasons so far, and it's fun, but the structure of it does it a big disservice. The first 4 episodes start with telling the story of this. The nukes have gone off. There's a bunker that these rich and famous people get to go into, plus like 2 people kind of chosen at random. And it's just them living in this post-apocalyptic bunker. And it's a fun setting. There's lots of scares to it as well, and it's claustrophobic. But then the end of episode 3 or 4, everyone in the bunker is killed, and then the witches from Coven come in, and you're like, yay, okay, we knew that this was going to happen because the trailers had spoiled this all already, and we knew the witches were going to come in. And then what happens is we get a flashback to before the apocalypse happens, and it's all of the witches for episodes trying to stop the apocalypse from happening. But we know the apocalypse has happened. And so everything they do feels pointless. And I guess that there's like a level of dramatic irony, but with TV shows, weekly TV shows as well, I feel like that level of dramatic irony doesn't particularly work unless it's shorter or there's a bigger meaning to it. This is such a tangent, but like I recently watched Tiptoe, the Russell T Davies show, and it is firstly highly recommend. It is scary. I will talk about it in future, but it discusses homophobia. And basically, this is not a spoiler because it's the first thing you see is that the main character, Alan Cumming, has been like hung and basically lynched on the street. And the whole show is talking about what led up to that moment. But that irony is what makes everything so scary. And knowing that's where it goes makes every interaction, every moment of hope feel good. Feel not good, but it feels well earned. And it just gives a whole other layer to it all. And they start every single episode with that kind of like flashback. I think Apocalypse kind of does the same, where it starts every episode with them in the bunker, talk about what's going on. But on the whole, it just doesn't do enough to. We spent so long the first few episodes without the witches that it doesn't feel purposeful, and there's just a lot of like, maybe we should try this to stop the nukes going off, and it's like, oh no, it didn't work, and it's like, yeah, I know it didn't work, nothing's gonna work. But the good thing about it is that the witches are there, and the Coven witches rock. They are so fun. The way the magic system works as well is great, with it being a matriarchy, and with there's a fight between the witches and the warlocks, which is fun, or at least is a cool way of discussing kind of like misogyny in that sense. And we get to see characters like Misty Day come back. We do a big visit to the murder house, and we see all those characters get rounded up. Like, it is a fan dream. If you've liked the first seasons, this ties everything up quite nicely, and you get to revisit all of these. Is it a little bit like fan servicey, nostalgia baity? In a way, yes, but it's fun and it makes sense of a lot of the different connections and things going on there too. But it also like undoes a lot of stuff where you're like, okay, now this character is back from the dead that died in that season, and this character is blah 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 blah, and it's just a bit like it can be a bit much at times. That's going to be the theme of the season of this video. It's too much. This podcast, sorry, audio first, is too much. Also, big spoiler because the ending of Murder House ends with the Antichrist being born, basically, but they don't spell it out so obviously that it is the Antichrist. You just know it's like a demon baby, and we can put together it's the Antichrist. But we learn from Apocalypse that it was indeed the Antichrist, and he causes the apocalypse. So to destroy him, they witches have to learn time travel to go back and kill him before he would like realize his potential. And the way they kill him is is that Billy Lord hits him with like a Ford Fiesta. So, and just like, but there's a little bit of like satisfaction to it because she like reverses and hits him a couple times. But as to say, when this whole season has been, we have to stop the apocalypse, we have to stop the apocalypse. Well, the apocalypse happens, and then you just kind of kill the big bad by hitting him with a car. It doesn't. It's not as satisfying an ending as one would hope for, but it is interesting. Anyway, that's 6. God, guys, this is gonna be a longer one. No Yaption today. But that was 6th place. In 5th place, we have what I'm going to say is our good tier here, and that's Freak Show. Oh, guys, Freak Show, this might be nostalgia, but Freak Show actually brings me so much joy. And it's so funny because at the time, I didn't particularly like it, even though it was my first season I was watching live. But looking back on it, I just have so many fond memories of watching it. The aesthetic, the production design, everything about it is so much fun. The costumes, it's one that the plot is kind of lacking, but the characters and the setup is so delightful that you can kind of ignore that. Um, I always think as well, the opening credits of American Horror Story, they always have like a themed, well, they did used to always have a themed one, a themed opening where they changed the orchestration of the music, and they make like a kind of like circusy version of the theme song. It's so good. Sarah Paulson plays 2 twins, conjoined twins, I should say, and it's flawless. You can tell which one is which as well. She's really thought about those characters. Should have gone Emmy. I'm saying it there. Should have gone Emmy for it. Jessica Lange puts in like an absolute shift. She's singing. There's songs. There's musical moments. Oh my gosh, what else? Twisty the Clown. There's a big scary clown, and he is so frightening. And he took over the world in those first. It's always the first 4 episodes. I think they do the first 4 episodes, and episode 5 is usually Halloween, and that's where everything gets bucky and changes. But for the first 4 episodes, he's around, and it's horrifying. And so I just have so many fond memories of watching this. Also, mainly because as well, this is where it might be a little bit tainted by personal experience, but I remember I was in my last year of secondary school, and it was kind of that like summer where things are. I guess it wasn't summer; it must have been like October or something. But we're coming up to that year of our life where we're going, oh my gosh, what is everything going to look like? And me and my best friend at the time, Sam G, if you're listening, hello. We would watch it together and just like have a couple drinks, get a little drink, and watch American Horror Story and just have the best time, and then like run around the streets. So it was so much fun. And even when it was like a bad episode, it was still so good to look at. And you had this overall arc of these people pretending to be freaks, killing off the freaks in the freak show, and you had another guy who wanted to be a freak so badly, and so he wanted to be in the freak show, but he was only a freak in his mind, and it was there's a lot of cool stuff to pull from it, and unfortunately, it does fall into it did have the flaws of and then everyone dies vibe, which is unfortunate, but there's so much that makes up for that, I feel like. And they kill off Twisty the Clown very early on, much sooner than a lot of people would have wanted. And then the idea is that this guy who is the wants to be a freak kind of takes over the mantle as the clown serial killer. And that's the thing. Looking back on it now and being able to watch it in full, I was like, no, 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 this makes sense and is interesting. But at the time, having Twisty the Clown be killed off like so soon felt like, oh, where's Twisty? Now we got this guy, Dandy. I don't care about him. So it was hard pivot in Lifetime. It's very interesting the difference between watching stuff live and being able to binge watch it as well. I think it comes and goes what is good and what is bad. And at this, some of these seasons absolutely were improved so much by being able to by having to wait a week and see what happens next. But as I say, when you're jumping around in time a lot, it can become quite tiresome. And Apocalypse and 1984 did that so much. But Freak Show is relatively linear, great performances, some of the best performances. Kathy Bates is doing this bizarre Boston accent. Ben, what are you talking about? Like, it sounds Canadian. It's very bizarre. But yes, good time and still quite spooky and different. Fun inspirations as well with like freaks and circus and yeah. Oh, love it. Highly recommend. Not the best written series, but the most beautiful to look at, I think, personally. So now we're on to our top four. And in fourth place, we have Roanoke. Roanoke is another one that might be tainted by my experience of it as a fan because all of these seasons, we've known the theme going into it. Roanoke, they purposefully kept all of the branding incredibly vague. This was the first foray into the Taylor Swift psychosis, into the decoding what everything means, because they had tons of different trailers. No one had any idea what the theme was going to be at all. And we were trying to work it out. We knew it was something to do with pigs because there was pig spelled out in knives. And the first episode drops, and it is a documentary where Sarah Paulson is playing an actor playing Lily Rabe, who is playing a real person discussing the events of what happened to her and her family on this in this house in Roanoke. And it's a documentary. It's completely totally different, and it was such a shift in like, whoa, I was not expecting this, but it's so cool. And what they then do from that is you watch the first couple of episodes, which is the reality TV show, and then they do like a found footage second reality TV show where they talk about everything that's happened since the TV show was released. And so you see the recreations of the events at this haunted house, basically. And then they go back to it and you see like actual footage of what that looks like. So it's like they have Kathy Bates playing this character called the Butcher. But then when they revisit the live events, you see a completely like unknown woman playing the Butcher, and she's so much scarier. And that's the thing, it's really cool storytelling in a way, and visually it's so interesting to see them make the TV versions of it and then have to create real versions of them and somehow make it's not a case of making the like TV versions of them less scary, but making the real versions even more scary. It's cool. It's very, very cool. It's also got some funny lines. Sarah Paulson does a terrible British accent. It also has my favorite. This is my favorite NPC character of all time, which is they do like a fan convention where they talk about the TV show, and they do a Q&A, and this woman comes up and she says her name is Bristol Windows, and she flew all the way from England to be there, and she is doing the worst English accent you've ever heard in your life. She's like, "Hello, I'm Bristol Windows and I love your TV show." Bristol Windows fan club, I am here for you because you are phenomenal. You are. Where's American Horror Story Bristol Windows? I need her full story. So yes, Roanoke, really, really enjoy. Very dynamic. Again, doesn't feel too American Horror Story, but the format is so cool, and the overall theming is still very American Horror Story. So gets points there. Top three. Number three, we have Coven. Oh, I love Coven. I mean, Coven, people argue that Coven is too campy. And you know what? I would maybe agree with you if it wasn't just such a delight. And Coven is like the season that all of American Horror Story themes itself after. Apocalypse, we went back to Coven. Season 13, we are going to go back to the Coven. Like, they are just the characters. Jessica Lange, I think she did get an Emmy and a Golden Globe for Fiona Good in that. But it is honestly like a breathtaking performance. She's playing one of the evilest women, so selfish, so nasty, and you are rooting for her the whole time. She has this like, spoiler alert, she goes to hell at the end, and you're like, yeah, you deserve to be there, really. But you're also like, wish you didn't die. I don't know anyone else that could play that kind of character. And it has this fantastic through line of trying to figure out who the next Supreme is. And so I'm not going to spoil who it is here. So Luke, if you're listening, I'm not going to spoil it. But I did spoil that she goes to hell. Oops. Okay. Well, don't listen to this, Luke. But yes, it is so fun. It's just so fun. So much going on. And to say the competition to find out who the next Witch at Supreme is delightful. The twists and turns, the blinding. Oh baby. Coven, it speaks for itself. It's the birth of a million memes. Surprise bitch. Bet you thought you'd seen the last of me. Who's the baddest witch in town? It is every episode has about 30 different memes, whether that is a reaction image, a quote, a gif. It's the mother of Tumblr and of like modern stan culture, I feel. There, I said it. So Coven, you are number 3 on my list. So now we only have 2 seasons left. And in second place, we have More the House. It's More the House, the very first season of American Horror Story. And just to say, when all the energy went into a Ryan Murphy production, you could just tell the electricity in the room of creating these stories. And when Murder House came out, we didn't know it was going to be an anthology season, an anthology show. And so, spoiler alert again, ending it with everyone dying was insane. The reveal that Violet had been dead the whole time, the world shook. The world shook. And that's crazy. For a show about ghosts, to reveal that one of the main characters has been a ghost the whole time, so cliche, so done. And yet we had no idea. It was fantastic. You have so much world that is being built straight away. The theming of it as well, the look of all the different ages of ghosts and the reasons why they live in the house, I thought was so damn. It's just storytelling done so well and set American Horror Story up for great success. Still quite campy, still a lot of interesting things. Who is Jungle Jim Yahoo in the gimp suit? But frightening and scary, and so highly recommend for any horror lovers. Say there's a lot of seasons here that I wouldn't recommend to people who like horror, but this one is just like Haunting of Hill House level of like good shit. I'm realizing I'm going so over time, so I'm like, okay, I gotta pick up. And my number one of all time, it's Asylum. Oh, Asylum. I was watching Asylum whilst I was revising for my biology exams, and in my head, I was learning so much because they talk about a lot of biology stuff. But I wasn't. I got a C in that exam. So, but I don't regret it because Asylum is again, to use the word, electric. Having the storyline of this innocent woman being locked in an asylum and trying to escape, but there's also a serial killer locked inside of it with her. Oh my god, the tension in every episode is fantastic, and the payoff is brilliant. It's crazy because she tries to escape multiple times, and it can feel hopeless. It can feel like, what is the point? But in a way, it doesn't. And so when she finally does escape, it is like we've won the World Cup, you know. And that's all built up through the storytelling, through the characters. Again, a fantastic performance by Jessica Lange, creating. I don't know how someone could be basically like playing the most sadistic, almost Nazi level of doctor there is, and then also perform the name game. The name game. It's so special. Now, in my head, I was like, I kind of want to dock it because I don't like the alien plotline. But you know what? It's fun. It's just so much fun, guys. I love Asylum. Highly recommend. It's the scariest one, I would say. And so it's the scariest. I think it's the best characters. You love each of the characters a lot, even the really flawed ones. Oh my god, Lily Rabe's character arc as this sweet nun who gets possessed by the devil. Tony, Oscar, Grammy. They needed it all. And so that is why Asylum will always be a number 1. Realize I rushed it to the end, but guys, that is taking us to the end of today's episode. Oh my gosh, sorry, so much to gossip and gab about. But I've got to go on a run. I've got to go running. So I'm excited for Market Choice Season 13 coming out, and let me know what your thoughts are. And anyway, love you all so much. We'll catch you all next Saturday. Goodbye, guys. Bye.